Picture this. A single, ordinary-looking coin slips through someone's fingers in 1970, the year America watched the Vietnam War on television, celebrated the first Earth Day, and listened to the Beatles break up, and yet that tiny piece of metal quietly carries a story powerful enough to shake collectors decades later. This is not just spare change. It is a time capsule, a witness to history, and in some cases a ticket to life-changing money, because while most people never look twice at a 1970 United States coin, a few rare examples from American coinage have sold for millions of dollars, proving that what looks small can hold enormous value if you know where to look. The United States of America 1970 coin exists in several forms because 1970 was a busy year for the U.S. Mint, producing coins at multiple facilities including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each mint leaving behind subtle clues that collectors obsess over today. In 1970, Americans used Lincoln cents, Jefferson nickels, Roosevelt dimes, Washington quarters, Kennedy half dollars, and Eisenhower dollars was still a year away, so the pocket change of the time reflected a nation transitioning from silver coinage to copper-nickel alloys. By 1970, silver had already been removed from dimes and quarters, but Kennedy half dollars still contained 40% silver, making them immediately interesting to both collectors and investors. These coins were not designed to be rare, and millions upon millions were struck. Yet rarity is not always about how many were made, but about how many survived in a specific form, condition, or variation. The most talked about coin connected to 1970 is the 1970s Lincoln cent with the small date variety, a coin that looks almost identical to any other penny at first glance. This cent was struck in San Francisco not for circulation but for proof sets, meaning it was intended for collectors, yet something unexpected happened. A small number of these proof pennies were struck using a design normally meant for circulation strikes, creating a subtle difference in the date. The small date refers to the shape and position of the numbers in 1970, especially the 7, which sits lower and appears more delicate. To the untrained eye, it is just a penny, but to a trained collector, it is one of the great modern U.S. rarities. High-grade examples have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, and while this coin does not reach into the millions, it proves how a tiny design detail can transform a 1-cent coin into a 5-figure treasure. Beyond the Lincoln cent, the 1970 Kennedy half dollar stands as a symbol of its era. Struck only at the Denver Mint for circulation and at San Francisco for proofs, the 1970 half dollar was the final year the coin contained silver. That fact alone makes it historically significant, marking the end of an age when American everyday money was literally precious metal. Many were saved because people already knew silver was disappearing from U.S. coinage, which limits their rarity today, yet pristine examples still command strong premiums. They represent a moment when the public's trust in metal value met the realities of inflation and rising production costs. A quiet economic shift captured in a palm-sized object. To truly understand why a 1970 U.S. coin matters, you have to see it not in isolation but as part of the long, dramatic story of American coinage. Coins are official government artifacts, designed to reflect power, stability, and identity, and every year's design and composition is a reaction to political, economic, and cultural pressures. In 1970, the United States was dealing with inflation, global competition, and the financial strain of war, all of which influenced how money was made. The removal of silver from most coins earlier in the decade was not just a technical decision, but a signal that the old relationship between money and metal was ending. This is where the idea of million-dollar coins enters the story, because the United States has produced coins that shattered every expectation of value, reminding us that history, rarity, and myth can be worth far more than face value or metal content. One of the most famous is the 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle, a $20 gold coin that was never officially released for circulation. When the United States abandoned the gold standard, these coins were ordered to be melted down, yet a few escaped. Decades later, one example sold for over $18 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in the world. Compared to this legendary coin, a 1970 penny seems insignificant, yet both are connected by the same minting system and the same national story. Another American coin that reached into the millions is the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar, believed by many to be the first silver dollar ever struck by the United States Mint. One specimen sold for over $10 million, not because of its silver content, but because of its historical importance and extreme rarity. It represents the birth of American coinage, a young nation asserting its independence through its own money. When collectors study a 1970 coin, they often do so with these legendary pieces in mind, understanding that today's ordinary coins are tomorrow's artifacts. The fascination with coins is not just about money, but about survival against the odds. Most coins are lost, damaged, melted, or spent without a second thought, and only a tiny fraction survive in exceptional condition. This is why grading matters so much in numismatics. A 1970 coin in worn condition may be worth little more than face value, but the same coin preserved perfectly, with sharp details and original luster, can be worth many times more. This principle scales all the way up to million-dollar coins, where condition can mean the difference between a valuable artifact and a world record-breaking treasure. What makes the 1970 US coin especially